The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Ads with Simon Pound from simonpound.com.
Yes, it is Mr. Simon Pound. Hello to you, Simon.
G'day, mate. How are you?
I think I call you Simon just then. Put it on the end of everything today.
Simon, I'm what you have after dinner.
That's right. Another journey through the amazing, the wonderful, the very creative world of advertising around the world. And first off, we're off to Argentina today, Simon.
Yes, there's been another. I mean, there's an ad show every single week, whether it's PR or marketing or advertising effectiveness or advertising creativity or copywriting or craft. I mean, quite seriously, there are more ad shows than there are weeks in the year, and there's just been an ad show that I believe is an Italian one that spewed up a whole lot of interesting advertising from around the world that you don't otherwise see. And it's really cool to see, what ideas cross cultural boundaries and also what kind of things are being done in different countries. And there's quite a cool one at first from Argentina that was the winner of this award ceremony that I've put the name the wrong place of. It's got a guy who's on the telephone and he gets a call from his mum talking about his grandfather who's wealthy, and he's about to get into his car, and as he talks to the mum, they talk about how the grandfather's sick, and so he imagines his car as being a Porsche kind of fancy car, and his original car is a very basic kind of people mover. And then she says, oh yes, but his business isn't going well. And then the car flashes to become a cheaper car again. And then, and then with the course of the story where the guy's fortunes rise and fall, and then he gets a wife who's 22 who wants to travel, and it ends up becoming a total cheap and nasty car. It's just a really nice kind of visual representation of thoughts that are normally hidden. Which is a really cool ad.
Yeah, and it's done. It's also one that you don't necessarily need to hear the sound of either. That was highly effective as a visual thing. Yeah.
Although it's a nice little story as well. Like even through the subtitles, just the economy of kind of like how much you can read into simple statements, like "Granddad's got a 22-year-old wife," and your whole inheritance vanishes, and your hopes and dreams with it. Which is quite cool. There was another great ad for a very timely ad that's popped up in the last week out of Brussels from JWT there for Kit Kat.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely, just a simple print execution that really caught my eye this week, with a red against a white background with a red vuvuzela snapped in half, and then underneath it, a Kit Kat kind of snapped in half, saying, have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
That's perfect timing, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? Really, really on time, and a really nice little visual execution. Another really cool series of ads that came out of that ad comp was for a kind of cheese called Panda cheese, which is out of Egypt, and I haven't seen much advertising out of Egypt.
No.
And it's a really interesting place, Egypt, kind of culturally and politically, as the largest Islamic state, but also the largest in the Middle East there, but also the largest secular Islamic state in the Middle East. Indonesia would beat it outside of the Middle East, but it's a place that's got kind of like a big Western presence, but also a big Eastern presence, and it's quite an unusual place. So it's quite cool to see what they're doing there, and it's these ads for Panda cheese are as random and as kind of clever and a bit unusual as anything that you see for Burger King with the King internationally.
Yeah,
and they're right on point with that kind of slightly random, slightly amusing, cultural referencing humour.
And the hook is never say no to the panda, that being the cheese. And
the hook is never say no to the panda. So they work off a couple of scenarios where someone is offered some cheese and the person says no to the cheese, and then out of nowhere this music starts, and it's this lovely kind of 50s-y American pop music that you can imagine being in a gangster film.
Yeah.
As kind of like a Don ate his spaghetti in a diner before he ends up getting shot or something, and the panda just kind of stares, as pandas do, the person in the panda suit, and then the person who said no to the cheese then kind of looks surprised, and then you cut back to the panda in the music, and he does something destructive.
Never say no to the panda.
And then it says never say no to the panda. And I don't know if you've got the music handy there, but it's quite an amazing collection of.
I've got one where a guy is sitting in hospital and he's being offered some panda cheese. The panda is there in the corner, waiting for the decision. He says no to the cheese. There goes the guy's TV, destroyed.
Yeah,
If he says no again, there goes the drip.
They're
Very
quite
nice.
magic, and that kind of use of unusual. I mean, you can imagine that kind of soundtrack in an ad for insurance, as people like rode down the road on bicycles together or something.
Yeah.
But when you put it with a dude in a panda suit who doesn't talk, who then destroys stuff, it's quite nice, quite cool. What's next on our agenda?
What about a print ad for, I think, are these drugs, the strongest bones in the world?
Oh yeah, if you're travelling further around the world to Indonesia, which is another enormous place that has not that much of a kind of cultural footprint to our Anglophile world. 200 million people over hundreds of islands, and all kinds of things happening in Indonesia, but we don't hear much about them. Quite cool campaign in Jakarta where they're trying to talk about a kind of dietary supplement, and maybe the fact that they're able to advertise dietary supplements like this has something to do with easier regulations. But a dietary supplement that's inside like a little pill that helps with bone strength. And in order to demonstrate how strong the bones could be if you used this dietary supplement, they actually got a viaduct, like a motorway overbridge on struts, like a viaduct, and they made it so that the support struts were bone-shaped. So they created kind of a model around the concrete,
Right.
so it looked like bones was
Yeah.
holding up this overbridge, and it's just really cool and really simple and works very well.
Oh, very effective. Calcium tablets, that's something we don't really think about so much here, calcium tablets.
They probably don't eat dairy 16 different ways a day.
That's very true, Simon. Well, for all of those images and whatnot, you can go and see this as a video once again. Recommend popping along to stoppress.co.nz and all the links to what we've just been talking about as well. And thanks so much, Simon. So the ad show is the first season has come to a close on TVNZ7.
Yes, 20 weeks. 20 weeks have now completed, which is really cool. It was originally only going to be 15, so I got a bit of a five episode vote of confidence, and yeah, it may well be back later in the year.
Well, nice work. Well, we'll have you back next week.
Good man.
Cheers,
Aaron.
Simon. For more, simonpound.com.